Hello and welcome back to Paisley Smeesler Stadium. We are here to discuss Hearts' 1-0 defeat to St Mirren in what was another disappointing performance, which saw Hearts tick most of the boxes that have plagued the season that Hearts fans have been fed up seeing. We had the slow start, we had the possession without lacking kind of decisiveness in the final third. We had the cheap goals being given away, kind of lack of chance creation. Am I missing anything else?
I guess no. Those are probably the hallmarks. I think that
Yep.
we're starting to see, and we did see them again. Unfortunately, I mean, yeah, I mean, the team's shape just from the get-go is strange. The idea of, I mean, we thought Devon was playing on the right. You know, we spoke to Naismith there. He was saying, he wasn't really playing on the right. He was just, kind of floating about. It's kind of like, well, so does that mean we just, Hearts are with one winger on the left? That seems a bit strange.
Yeah, because that was it. So if you go back to, we obviously spoke ahead of the match about the formation. We weren't really too sure how it was going to line up. Whether it was going to be a 4-3-3 or a 4-3-1-2 with Boyson behind Shankland and Vargas, but it turned out to be maybe a lopsided. I'd say if you were to boil it down, 4-2-3-1 with Devlin on the right, and I think as you're about to say, Naismith said afterwards that the idea behind that was to have more safety
out of
possession. However, the big issue with the possession aspect, that when Hearts lost possession in the final third, it only took St Mirren one ball, and they broke free. It was kind of clear that they did target roles because Olasanya was often running off roles. And Naismith spoke after the Aberdeen game. He was really pleased that the roles stood up to that aggressive side. That wasn't there today. That he struggled, and the fact that he got taken off in the second half, but the system didn't change, maybe suggested that it was a very tough afternoon, and the management team felt that as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think, after the goal, there was a good 15-20 minute spell where it seemed that we were just launching the ball in behind rows, and Alessandro was just bullying him. He looked stronger, faster, and he looked like he had better balance, and a few times he just had the beating of him. In particular, there's one 5-minute spell where it happened about 3 times, and you just thought, like, oh God, what's going to happen here? So, again, it was fortunate that none of those resulted in a goal. I mean, particularly there was one when he went through, and there's a bit of a scramash kind of on the goal line, and Clark eventually sort of plucked it out. But that could have easily gone in. That could have easily been 2-0, and then the game's it's a long way back from there. So I think that was also a concern. And even the build-up play, like we said, there was asymmetrical. There was they had it on the left, but it seemed particularly early on, the Hearts were absolutely adamant they were just going to get the ball to Kingsley and then chip it into Vargas and see what happens from there. And it just wasn't working at all. Ryan Strain just seemed to have Vargas's number today, I think.
I mean, we saw that reflected in the stats at half time, that in terms of touches and passes, Vargas was quite high for touches. Kingsley was very high for both touches and passes. So it came filtered through, and all play seemed to come towards the left. And once again, I think at the end of the half, the XG, or basically just kind of sums up the chance creation, was 0.21, and that was Boyce's Boyce effort in the box and a speculative effort from Atkinson, which sailed nowhere near.
Mind the Boyce was one that's blocked as well. Didn't even hit the target. So it was a decent hit, obviously a decent chance, but it's, again, I think you're right. It does underline just how the paucity of decent chances that, particularly in the first half of games, it's crazy.
I mean, we spoke about ahead of the game was the fact that Hearts need to start. They need to start starting well in games. They can't just play for 15-minute spells. Or I don't think the team have played, maybe other than Rosenborg, longer than for really well. Maybe Palk at home for a bigger spell than maybe half an hour, in terms of a complete performance. And how are you meant to be successful? How are you meant to win games when you play so a lot of kind of pedestrian or inoffensive football for so long in games? And when you do that so often, but then have an inability to grind out results, whether it's wins, whether it's draws, it's impossible to be a successful side, and it's understandable that a lot of Hearts fans have got a lot of concerns because there is a lot to be concerned about. You've got Shankland has not scored in 5 games. He had the same number of touches, maybe one fewer than Xander Clark in the first half. You've got a team that at times looks solid, but still guilty of giving up soft goals. You've written about before. There's an issue with set pieces. There's an issue with aggression. There must be an issue with attitude or mentality. The fact that the team are starting so slowly. There's issue with intensity, with aggression. This is a team that at the moment isn't suited to be playing Scottish football because we spoke about it after half time. You had St Mirren who win their battles. They can turn defences. They can dig in. They can counter attack quickly. And at the moment, Hearts are not doing any of that.
There's just no urgency, particularly going forward. I mean, you feel a bit for someone like Shankland, who, today he was just isolated. Didn't really get, apart from that chance at the end, of course, where he could have scored. But apart from that, there really wasn't much, feeding off scraps at best, and I think that, he looked frustrated out in the park, you could see him like putting the ball away and towards the end of the first half, and it's just like you say, he's not getting that service because the team they get to within, kind of halfway, kind of 3/4 of the way down the pitch or down the left hand side, and then just didn't know what to do to cut it back into Neuenhoff, who then try a big switch, and then they just go side to side. They didn't look as if they had any ideas of how to penetrate and how to find space. And to be fair, it's a difficult place to come and find space. We know that about St Mirren. We know they're incredibly compact. They sit deep, and they're going to make you work for it. But at the same time, there was, I don't know. I felt like they weren't taking enough risks on the ball.
It's again something that Naismith has said, and there was an early moment we've heard a very loud expletive from Naismith when it was Beningame, and rather than pass to the left back, he went to Rolls, and then it was the left back. It slows. It's very difficult. Naismith said afterwards, he talked about the chances that Hearts created. Yes, in the second half there was chances created. You had Devlin, had the tip around the post. You had Rolls' header, which was clear off the line, and then right at the end you had Shankland, a really good chance. But then on the flip side, St Mirren had 3 goals, chalked off for offside.
And let's face it, they're all marginal too.
Okay,
it was the right decision was made, but that could easily go the other way.
Yeah, and it's not clutch. He's right to bring up those chances, but the bigger picture is more of the concern, and the fact that it's only in fits and starts that the team are able to put opposition teams under extensive, prolonged pressure. And there are, as we can see in some of the Facebook comments, there are question marks over Naismith's position, which are only going to grow if the team continue to fail to continue to learn. And that's something that Naismith spoke about on Friday, about the need to learn how to play through teams to start games quicker. He said that it's a good opportunity against Kilmarnock and Ross County to rectify that, but if they can't in such a short space of time, and I think there's a lot to rectify. It's just the pressure's just going to build with the derby coming up as well.
I know, that's the thing, because nobody wants to have to go to Kilmarnock on a Tuesday night. That's not exactly going to be a welcoming and hospitable place.
The League Cup, where the League Cup has been an absolute just a hex in terms of success there, and it's when the draw was made, there was two places you didn't want to go, Ibrox, and the second worst place was going to be Rugby Park, and that's where the team are headed against another team that make it very difficult for you, and you need to have all those Scottish football qualities to give yourself a grounding, and at the moment Hearts don't, and if they don't have that, they need to have their quality players shine through and dominate the games, but no one in the midfield is really taking the opportunity, or no one in the team to just really go, right, I'm going to be the leader, I'm going to drive this team on. I suppose we should speak about Benny Beningame, because he was
that's a positive. Yeah, definitely. I think he lasted about an hour or so, thereabouts, and I was really impressed with him actually, because there were quite a few times where he'd received the ball, particularly when built out from the back from like a goal kick or something, and then as soon as he had the ball, was back to goal, he'd get swarmed by one or sometimes two St Mirren players, and yet it didn't really seem to faze him though. Like okay, once or twice he probably gave the ball away, but as far as I can remember, he seemed to be either with a deft touch, just losing the man with a change of balance, or just finding his path. And I think that's. Again, it's that little thing of it's quite he's doing the steady and safe stuff, but he's doing it quite well, and again he's doing it under quite a lot of pressure. Whereas, I think that's something that has been missing in recent weeks. So I think there's definitely room for encouragement there. Obviously, it's still going to take him a bit longer to get fully up to full fitness until he can start playing 90 minutes. But I do think that if we're looking for silver linings, that's definitely one. I think that Benny's coming back in and. Compared to for instance the Rosenborg game, it's night and day. It is. It's difficult to have that balance. You understand that the chances are made. There's players missing, but I think that the bigger picture looks more concerning than positive, and I think that's something that will need to be, like Nathan said, rectified very, very, very quickly. And kind of looking ahead. We've spoken for 11 and a half minutes. I've rambled on for a lot, but there was a lot to ramble on about. That's the issue. But the goal itself was because you mentioned about St Mirren, how difficult they are to play against, and in the build-up we talked about Hearts need to start fast against St Mirren, and they can't allow St Mirren to get ahead, and then they gave away the cheapest of cheap goals, dirt cheap, and by speaking to fans who were behind the goal and others who were closer into it did seem like Clark called for it, and he didn't claim it, and it allowed Ryan Strain to knock it in the back post, and it did look like he apologised to Kent afterwards. But yeah, it's you can't legislate for that. I know, yeah, of course you can't, but I just think I think as a centre half, you'd expect them to be a bit more commanding, I think, and just hoof it and just get rid of it, just do something. I guess when you get the shout from the goalie, that can maybe throw you off, but it's such a dangerous area, and there's 3 Hearts players within a couple of yards of the ball, because Rose is pretty close as well, and yet none of it's bypassed the ball. Again, it's really sloppy. Again, it's a great ball out from Goldrich. I think it was out to Tans out the left to find that bit of space. And again, that's kind of what we said before the game, where the wing backs in a team like St Mirren, those are the ones who are going to find the spaces, and they're going to be able to exploit it. And you need to be aware of that. And it looked like he was going nowhere. Because again, there were that many bodies back. There wasn't really much in the way of support for St Mirren. And again, it's such a soft goal to let in, and then when you do that against, particularly this St Mirren team in the form that they're in, you're leaving yourself a mountain to climb, because the first goal was so important when you're playing at St Mirren, because if they get it, they're going to make it incredibly difficult for you to get back in the game, and that's exactly what we saw. Don't get me wrong.
They love getting ahead in the games and just going, you try and break us down.
No, exactly.
You have to respect it. You have to respect it. I hugely respect it, because I think it's something that every Hearts fan would be envious of, and just go we need to be like that.
Yeah, you can't. Where are they? Is it second in the league now?
Second league, unbeaten.
It clearly works, and you can't knock it. There's no point in getting sniffy about it. I just think that Hearts, St Mirren make life difficult for you, but Hearts just didn't do that either. They made life difficult for themselves, essentially, Hearts, because they didn't. Again, there's that thing of it just seemed, the build-up play just seems very risk averse. It's just we'll play it to that, play it to the nearest man, play it to the nearest man, play it to the nearest man, occasionally switch it over to the other side if it's a free man, but there is no through balls trying to get
no one dribbling, no one taking on.
Absolutely no one dribbling. Again, that's one of the things we obviously hope to see from Neuenhoff was a ball carrier playing at centre mid, and it didn't really do that. No, he had some decent passes. I think he was spraying it about quite nicely at times, but ultimately to men who were free and weren't marked, and they're never going to penetrate like that, And so I think that was a disappointment. I thought we'd get to see more of him carrying the ball out from the back and forcing a defender to step up and then maybe creating a gap, and it just didn't happen.
Right, I'm sure people have probably fed up with us rambling on, but before we finish, you're the more level-headed one of the two of us, James, the more sensible one. What positives can you give us going into that Kilmarnock game?
I'd imagine
His end stream.
I'd imagine Naismith is very upset with some of his players, and I think he'll be looking for a reaction. I think just the nature of that performance and the nature of that defeat, you've got to think if players play like that again against Kilmarnock on Tuesday night, they'll be out the team. So absolutely everyone will be, pretty much everyone's fighting for their spot at this stage because they need to do a lot better.
That's because you mentioned reaction. Dealing with Naismith, like seeing him in press conferences, he's always I always find him really positive. But it's the fact that there's not been many reactions this season is another concern.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Be sure to check out the Heart Standard website. We've got the press conference reaction, everything that Stephen Naismith said afterwards, and we've got our own reaction, some of the stuff we touched on, everything we touched on in this video. So not as much as we touched on this video, and then we should have a reaction tomorrow, and then on Monday, and then I'll be looking ahead to the Kilmarnock games. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and go in and try and enjoy the rest of your weekend.